If you have low back pain or any kind of pain, one of the biggest things that you want to know is why are you having that pain? What is pain? What if I told you that pain is not a sensation at all? What if I told you pain did not depend entirely on tissue damage? What if I told you there's no such thing as a root cause of pain? This is part 3 of a mini-series where I'm teaching you everything you need to know about low back pain, so let's get to it. As always, if you want to download the notes with all the references, you can go to my website and become a member. So what is pain? Well, the current definition of pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So pain is at least partially an emotional experience, and it can happen when there's just a potential for tissue damage. In other words, there doesn't actually have to be a threat as long as you perceive there to be a threat. I think most people tend to think pain is rather simple. If you have an injury, then you have pain. End of story. But since our entire reality is filtered by our brain, expectations and context will impact whether you feel pain or not, and how much pain you feel. So how pain really works is you get maybe an injury and the body becomes a little sensitive. You go to a doctor, they tell you that you're broken, that freaks you out, you have pain. You go to work, work is hard, that stresses you out. You do a crappy job, your boss yells at you, that stresses you out, that amplifies pain and stress chemically and emotionally, and now your pain is worse. This is a big messy cycle, and it gets even messier. The reality is that your beliefs and attitudes, your culture, your socioeconomic status, relationships, family, all of these things impact your pain. Did you get enough sleep? Did you eat good food? Are you living in a healthy environment? Is your body strong and resilient? Do you spend all day doing nothing? All of these factors influence whether you feel pain or not. So one single factor cannot possibly be a root cause of pain. We could simplify this by pretending that your strength and resilience, all the good things that you do for your body, represent a cup. So the size of that cup is how healthy your body and that biopsychosocial atmosphere is. And then water represents all the stuff that challenges your body, all the stressors, like you got crappy sleep, or you've got anxiety, you have fear. And these things fill up your cup, and these can be biological, psychological, or social stressors. It really doesn't matter what's in the cup. If the cup overflows, you have pain. And maybe not just pain, maybe other illnesses as well. So it's important for you to be able to identify what is in your cup. And don't worry too much about whether it's a physical stressor, an emotional stressor, or a social stressor. They all count. So how do we get better? Well, we take stuff out of the cup, and maybe we build you a better cup. Taking stuff out of the cup is maybe stress management and dialing it down for a little bit, but building a bigger cup might be strength training and developing positive coping mechanisms. Did you know that pain is not a sensation? It sounds weird, but the body has nerves, and those send a sensory input into the brain. And then the brain has to decide what to do with that information. Does it care about it? Is this a real threat or just a low-level threat that it can ignore? After this central processing, either you have a painful experience or you don't. Now, in the sudden onset of pain, like you touch a hot stove, it's much more likely that areas of the brain that are associated with feeling stuff in the body are very active, in which case a sensation has a very strong input on your pain. But chronic pain that has lasted for 6 months or more is a very different story. When we actually look at the brain activity of a person with chronic pain, we find that the brain regions that are associated with emotional processing are much more active, whereas touch and sensation in the brain, that's not what's happening. So in the case of chronic pain, the actual brain activity resembles an emotion, not a sensation. I'd like to challenge you to be grateful for the fact that pain exists. It's a really good thing. Pain is normal. It's an alarm system, and you need it in order to tell if there's something dangerous in the world around you. If you step on broken glass, you want that pain to tell you to stop stepping on broken glass so that you can fix it, bandage it up, and clean it. I mean, not in that order, but you get the idea. So having pain just means that you're a human being. That's very normal. Now, unfortunately, sometimes we get false alarms, and especially in the case of chronic pain, the alarm system can be a little bit overactive. The brain, in this case, can be a little trigger happy on that panic button. And just like in this case with this cute little guy, sometimes his shadow is a little scarier than he really is. Remember, pain can happen whether it's a real or a perceived threat. So we just gotta learn to turn the false alarm off, but most of us forgot the code. Now here are some fun examples of how weird pain can be. There was a man who got in a car accident and had the turn signal lever stuck in his arm for 50 years. And for most of that experience, for decades, he felt no pain at all. So even though his arm was very badly damaged, he didn't have any pain. What's with that? Another cool experiment had participants who had hand pain move their hands in painful ways. And they took binoculars and they either looked at their own hand so their hand appeared larger than it normally is, or they flipped the binoculars around so that their hand appeared smaller than it normally was. And this visual illusion of making the problem area appear larger or smaller actually made your pain or their pain worse or better. And this next experiment is very strange. They hooked up a fake machine. This machine did not do anything at all. It was a totally fake machine. So they attached this fake stimulator to people's heads, and they tell them that essentially this brain stimulator sometimes causes headaches for people. And they found that when they told people that this machine caused headaches, those people actually developed real headaches. And what's even stranger is that when they turned the settings up on the machine, the headaches for the participants got worse. So they had a fake machine that they were turning the lever or the dials up, and people got worse headaches from a fake machine. So again, it's really up to the perception of the world around you, whether or not you experience pain. Now remember, I said biopsychosocial. So pain is a biopsychosocial phenomenon. That means that biology matters, structure and form matter too, right? We've been talking about the psychology and the social aspect, but biology matters too. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter which of these things has a greater influence on your experience of pain, because they all lead to a real pain experience. So if you are in pain, your experience should be respected and treated with compassion by your healthcare providers, regardless of what is in your cup. So again, biology still matters, even though pain is so heavily influenced by our perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes. Structural stuff still influences pain. Obviously, if you fracture a bone, that's really important and you need to do something about it. And sometimes back pain is not just back pain. There are sometimes, very rare, but sometimes there's something really serious going on and you need to get that taken care of. But in the more commonplace situations like with scoliosis, it's really a matter of degree. Like, does scoliosis matter? Well, for some people, it can cause heart compromise and lung compromise, so it's very serious. But for most people with scoliosis, it doesn't matter very much. We'll explore that later. And the other way that biology matters is that you can sort of improve your chances of withstanding life's stressors. So you can build yourself a bigger cup. You can increase your resilience. The cup is bigger, you can fill it with more stress and not have pain. Next time, we'll talk about some things that doctors say that don't always make a lot of sense. Members can download these notes on my website. I'll see you in the next video.